Alright guys, it is time for the gear video, and I, personally, could not be more excited because in Ella. So, if at some point you see me bending over, looking off over here, it's because of this one. This is Ella. I'm going to miss her terribly, and she is an attention hog. Alright, I'm going to set you off right now. In all of my hobbies, not just hiking, I love the gear side of things. This is all my climbing stuff. I was a musician before that. I guess still am, but a more active musician before that. I have music gear all around me. I love gear. And I also love when YouTubers don't do a super long intro and just kind of get right to the point of the video. So I'm going to do that. And again, this is going to be my gear for a February Nobo start. So, I just finished a hike locally. I have everything packed up here, my entire winter loadout. So I think the best way to do this is just, I'm going to unpack everything, and as I do that, I'll tell you what we're looking at. So let's start with the pack, though. This is the Durston Kakwa 55. I hate to be that guy, but I will be that guy. I liked Durston before it was cool, and I can prove it. This was the first pack he ever made, first version of it, the Drop 40. This went up every single 4,000 footer with me. It went on pretty much every hike I've ever done with me, and I love everything about it. I just needed something a little bigger. I feel like sorry about that. I feel like for a through hike, I just wanted a slightly bigger capacity so I could have more flexibility with resupplies primarily. And also, my winter kit would just barely fit in there with 4 days of food. And frankly, I just didn't want to worry every morning about like fitting everything in exactly how it had to be, or else it wouldn't fit at all. Trying to think for the long term with that. So this is the 55-liter version, although I will say it doesn't feel that much bigger, actually. I don't know what that is. But everything fits in here pretty much perfectly. We're not super bulging out. I'm not overstretching everything like I was with my last one. I've been very happy with this so far, so it's the one I'm going to use. I did make one mod with it. Studious eyes would have seen it. There's no way to attach trekking poles without doing a mod, so this is just a super simple added little loop of cordage right here tied with a double fisherman's knot, and then just a little pole system here. I don't know, super simple. It works. And that's what's really important, right? I don't know if I will be bringing trekking poles. They just weigh a lot, and I only use them on the descents, generally. I have been known to be a one trekking pole person, so if I do, it will be one. But I haven't made that decision yet. We will see. Moving on. We'll see what's attached on the back. This is my Zoleo. It's a satellite locator. This one might be a send home thing. Sorry, Mom. It might be a send home thing if the cell signal is as good as everyone says it is. I have Verizon, so taking that in mind, apparently it's like really good and you will have cell service every day except for maybe the 100-mile wilderness. If that is true, sorry, Mom. This is going home. Besides that, I have one of the little temperature readers from Garage Grown Gear, and that is pretty much exclusively to tell me if I need to put my water filter in a Ziploc and keep it on me because obviously a frozen water filter is a water filter that you cannot use anymore. On that note, I am a smart water bottle Sawyer squeeze guy. I will have 2 smart water bottles. This will be dirty water. This will be clean water. Once you finish this, I'd like to drink straight through the filter, because why not? Moving those out of the way. Outside on the mesh, we have rain jacket. This is a Frog Toggs rain jacket. I'm a huge Frog Toggs guy. I tried other rain jackets. You've all probably learned it at some point, right? They all wet out. There's no avoiding it. Especially the breathable ones tend to wet out much faster. So I love the Frog Toggs specifically because it is not breathable. That also makes it good as an insulation layer in the winter if you really want to just trap all your heat in. I've slept in it before, and it's really, really good for that. It definitely doesn't breathe. Also on the outside is my poop kit. Obviously in here will be toilet paper. None in there right now because why would I? Vargo Dig Dig, I think it's called. Yeah, Vargo Dig Dig titanium trowel. It's really good at going through roots. I know that. Had to do it a bunch. Because the metal there is bent at the top. So you're not like cutting into your hand as you're going down. I will say, if your finger catches on that, it can hurt pretty bad. But still much better than pushing down on like that kind of edge, which a lot of trowels for some reason expect you to do. Besides that, in the toilet paper, the only other thing in this Ziploc is hand sanitizer. For obvious reasons. Now to the stuff on the front hip belt pockets. So first is a headlamp. It's the same one everyone uses. It's a Nightcore NU25. I might upgrade it to the NU20 Classic, the one that just came out, but this works perfectly. So I'm not feeling a super strong drive to do it. Besides that, I'm starting in the winter, so many would say I don't need this, but I'm kind of traumatized, so I never go on a hike without a head net. It's going to be cold, I know, but... So I mentioned in the last video that... Sorry, just had to put the bag down. It's getting a little heavy, you know? I mentioned in the last video that I live in northern Massachusetts and that most of my hiking experience is in the White Mountains. I don't know how many of you have experienced a New Hampshire blackfly season. It's nothing to joke about. There was a hike I was doing, climbing up Mount Liberty, up the Liberty Springs Trail, and that was in June, I believe. And peak blackfly season. So the blackflies aren't super bad if you can hike fast enough, right? Because they can't fly super fast. So if you can hike fast enough, you can keep away from them. The thing about those 4,000 footers, and especially Stairmasters like Liberty, is that they just go straight up, and you can't really, like, at a certain point, you're going to have to stop and take a break. And when you stop to take a break, when you get winded, inevitably, the blackflies swarm. And then they get in your mouth, they get in your eyeballs. Then you're trying to catch your breath, but you can't because they're flying into your mouth, and it's just... I've had to bail on a hike before because I didn't have one of these. Ever since then, I never don't have one. Because why wouldn't I? It's less than an ounce, I'm pretty sure. Like, it just feels stupid to not have, especially with how variable the weather can be down south in spring. Besides that, the only other thing in the front is a little pocket knife. I've only ever needed a knife in the backcountry to cut some cheese or some dried meats, and that is probably what it will continue to be used for. My other pocket, there's nothing in it right now, but the other hip belt pocket is kind of like my designated snack pocket. That's where I just like shove whatever I will be eating throughout the day for easy access. Besides that, maybe my favorite piece of gear, one of my favorite pieces of gear for sure, is my fanny pack. This is the Jolly Gear LiteAF collab, DCF, I believe. Yeah, it has to be right. Fanny pack. I love a fanny pack because my phone, I would show you, but I'm recording on it right now, is gigantic. It made sense at the time when I got it, but then I started hiking. All of a sudden, it immediately didn't make sense. So my big-ass phone can fit in here. Also in here will go anything like headphones. My water filter I put in here on the back, so it's directly up against my skin. That prevents it from freezing pretty well, especially when I wrap it in the buff that's also always in here. And besides that, all the stuff on the outside, I think we are done, except for the thing that is going to lead into the first thing, the thing that is right at the top of my pack. The last thing on the outside is tent poles. Those tent poles are for the Tent-Durston X Dome 1 Plus. I'm one of the people who got in it, pre-ordered it when it first got announced, so I will be starting the trail in it, and I could not be more excited. So before I get into the X Dome, let me talk about my history with tents. When I first decided to do the Appalachian Trail, the tent I was using primarily was the Durston X-Mid, the 2-person. And I decided I needed a new tent for one massive reason. The Durston footprint, it's so big. It's so big. It's a square, right? It takes up the maximum amount of space possible. And for a through hike, I want to be able to, and I kind of alluded to it in my last video actually, I want the maximum amount of options for places to stay for the night. And I know that the further you get north, the harder that gets. And I know in my White Mountains, it is not impossible. Nothing's impossible, right? Way harder than you want it to be to find a stealth site with a footprint the size of the X-Mid. The Durston cult people will tell you that it's not true. From experience, it is. And I'm sorry, guys. And I'm sorry, Dan. So I wanted to get a tent. Big thing was a smaller footprint. That I knew. But besides that, everything was open. And I pretty much got to a point of choice paralysis. I was like, okay, maybe now's the time to finally go DCF. I've never had a DCF tent before. What should I do at that point? Well, the obvious options are Z-Packs tents. All of them have a smaller footprint than the X-Mid. Or the Durston X-Mid 1-person. My first thought was the X-Mid 1, because I know how to set it up and everything. It's like the same tent, just smaller footprint, and DCF. Perfect, right? However, on doing the research, I don't like how with the 1-person version, it's the inside space, the livable space is longer more so than it is wide. So you basically have to keep stuff at your feet, which I've never been a fan of. I always get these fears in the night with my expensive down sleeping bag or quilt that I'm going to roll over and it's going to catch on something on my bag and it's going to rip and just... So I don't like to keep my stuff at my feet. Keeping stuff at my head, that just feels strange and alien to me, and I just don't want it. I don't want it. It seems weird. I like to keep my stuff next to me, so the Durston X Mid 1 was a non-starter. Then I was like, okay, maybe it's time to switch Z-Packs. The duplex is like for a long time at least, was like the most popular tent on the AT. I think it still is on the PCT. It must be up there. My thing with the duplex, and this also goes for the soloplex, which I was also looking at, also by Z-Packs, the one person. It seems finicky, and I'm sure, like, so many people love it. So many people speak so highly about how beautiful and simple it is. Like, once you learn it, I'm sure it's great and it's super intuitive. But I'm one of those people who always chases the perfect pitch. Obviously that's much harder to do after a full day of hiking. I like it to be as easy as possible to get a perfect pitch. The X-Mid is a great example. If you have flat ground, getting a perfect pitch is as simple as just like making sure all of the floor angles are staked out to right angles before you put the poles in. And if you do that, it will be perfect, guaranteed. Not so much on uneven ground, but that you can adjust for that. But this is the finickiness that I'm talking about that I'm trying to avoid. Especially the soloplex, because you need like 10 stakes to set that thing up. That just seems... I can see it in my mind's eye right now already, chasing that perfect pitch. You think you get it perfectly, but then you see this side is sagging and your head would touch. So you're like, oh, okay. So you run over to that side and then you pull it a little tighter. But now you see, oh no, the other side's off. So you run back over to that side and you see... That's the stuff that I'm just completely trying to avoid for the sake of longevity on the trail. So, with all of that, the X Dome had just been announced. And I saw that the only issue was the weight penalty. Having all these DCF options in my mind, I was like, oh, I could get down to like a 9-pound base weight in the summer. Oh, like, that's pretty sweet. But at the end of the day, the features of the X Dome were exactly what I was looking for. The footprint is perfect for fitting into smaller spaces. You don't need 10 stakes to stake it out. Technically, you could do it with 0 stakes. That's how simple. And big thing is it's a 1 plus. X Dome 1 plus. And that plus is essentially a little, almost like an internal vestibule that is perfect for keeping all of your stuff next to you. I also, in the Thru Hiker survey, the Appalachian Trail Thru Hiker survey, the gear one, that gets released every year, I was looking at that, and I saw that the #1 reason that people changed tents was stormworthiness and rain resistance. I can't help but feel like that was a lot of duplex people, because I've heard some stories about if it's not staked out properly. It's freestanding. This is freestanding. It has poles. You can't screw it up. You can't get a pitch wrong. And when the pitch is right is when a tent will be most effective at fighting off storms. And that You also look at this thing's purported like wind resistance. It looks insane. This shit, long story short, this ticked all of the boxes. This ticked all the boxes except for the weight penalty, but I decided it was worth it. Only downside I'm worried about. This goes with every freestanding tent. The poles. It's a single point of failure. This entire thing is one gigantic single point of failure. It's obviously nerve-wracking, but again, this goes for every single freestanding tent. And I decided to take the risk. Under that, I guess it's time for clothing. So, for clothing, let me give the disclaimer that I run incredibly hot. I do not need a lot to keep me warm at any given point. A lot of people told me that my system seems a little light, but it's what's worked perfectly for me in New Hampshire winter, so I'm going to continue to do it. Let's start with what I'm actually wearing. So right now, I'm pretty much wearing my warm weather loadout, starting with the top. This is obviously, you can spot them from a mile away, the Jolly Gear Trail Madness button-up. The reason I went Jolly Gear is because I spent a good amount of time wondering, like, sun hoodie versus button-up. I've used both, and I love both for different things. This is both of those things in one. I would go button down, but the big bonus with a sun hoodie, obviously, is the hood. This has one of those. So it's great. The only complaint I've heard about them is that they are a little heavy. Like, feel-wise, they're not super, super airy. But that's perfect for me in the winter, because this is essentially a heat-trapping layer at that point. A light one, but a heat-trapping layer nonetheless. So the benefit of it being a heat-trapping layer is that when you pair it with this is my base layer for the winter. This is a merino wool base layer from Icebreaker. When you pair this with this, I can hike in just these down to like 30 degrees. Like I said, I run hot. Then my warmest setup, thanks to this being a slightly heat-trapping layer, is that this will be my base layer. Above that, on the really cold days, down to the teens easily, above this will go this. This is the Leave Outdoor Company Alpha Direct 90 hoodie. And it is incredibly light. It is incredibly warm. If you are not on Alpha Direct, you've got to get on Alpha Direct. You cannot beat the weight to warmth ratio. The only downside of it is that it's so light. Right, it's lighter than my Frog Togs rain jacket, which is completely insane. It's so light that, and so breathable, that even the slightest gust of wind will take all that heat away that you have trapped up. Now you see why I have this. This being heavier, slightly heat trapping, is the perfect amount of heat trapping to turn this into an incredibly warm system that, like I said, I can hike in down to the single digits, potentially. I've never had to. But I have faith in it, especially when paired with the Frog Togs. On the absolute coldest hikes I've ever done, I've done this system and then put the Frog Togs over it. And then, I mean, then you're sweating. You pretty much don't have a choice. It's so non-breathable. So that is my upper body layering system. For my lower body, I just use, yes, I'm going to stand on the chair. These Nike Dry Fit 5-inch inseam shorts. I don't know. They're all pretty similar. So underneath those, on the cold days, I will have a pair of leggings. I don't have them with me right now. I think I Who knows? I mentioned it in my last video, I'm a very forgetful, very disorganized person. Here we go. Exhibit A. They're just standard polyester leggings, though. Like, I got them from Sierra. They're 5 ounces. They're all pretty similar. Not super heavy or anything. So, in my bag, remember, I'm unpacking my bag here. We have the tent. Pushed around the tent is my layers, my removable active layers. Under that, stuff down here, we have my Enlightened Equipment Torrid Mitts. They're super light. They're super warm. I much prefer mitts to gloves. They just keep my hands significantly warmer. And I only really need to use these on the absolute coldest days, but they are great to have when I need them, and apparently Georgia will have some of those days. So, they say you pack your fears. I really don't like having cold hands. These are worth it for me. Underneath that is my Ditty bag. It is very, very compressed right now, but this is my Ditty bag. I'm going to run through these super, super fast. Toothbrush, toothpaste, toothbrush, toothpaste. Need I say more? For the cold months, this will be getting sent home in the warmer months, is my backup water treatment, Mira, just in case my filter freezes. I don't want to be caught with my pants down out there. Nail clippers. I haven't gotten to them yet, but I will cross it later. I'm a big toe sock guy. The only way to get toe socks to last, I've found, is to keep your nails super short. So I am bringing dedicated nail clippers because they're easy. Besides that, it's just my first aid and repair kit. In here, first aid is Band-Aids and ibuprofen. It's all you need. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Oh, I'm sorry. My bad. Also a blister kit in here, so just a needle and thread, you know. Alcohol wipe to sterilize a blister before popping. So that is my first aid kit. And some of you might have noticed, I totally forgot, the patch kit for my sleeping pad is also in there. And again, like I said, 10 or more ibuprofen. If I get injured, unless I physically cannot move, I'm hiking myself out. And so the ibuprofen will just be to make that a little easier to do while injured. Besides that, tenacious tape, perfect for tent repairs or anything. And then, I think the hiking community needs to take a note from the climbing community. Climbers tape. I don't see anyone using climbers tape. In the backcountry, everyone swears by KT tape or Leuco tape. Climbers tape is designed to stick to your body. I mean, I have this stuff wrapped around my fingers and then am like rubbing it against super abrasive materials and they stay on. Climbing tape is also super easy to buy. It's in a lot of places and it's super, super cheap. So hiking community needs to take a note and hop on climbers tape for all of your body taping needs. This will be serving essentially the same purpose, like I said, as KT tape or Leuco tape. That is my Ditty bag. Next to my Ditty bag is my cook kit, and there's really nothing super unique here, except I am using a microspikes bag to hold it all together just because it is a little lighter than the bag that the Toaks 750 milliliter comes with. I use the Toaks 750 milliliter because it fits all of my stuff perfectly. This is mini Bic for the stove. My stove is the MSR Pocket Rocket 2, not the deluxe. That's why I have the mini Bic. I have the BRS 3000T, the one that everyone swears by. My issue with it is that it is like negative wind resistance, like the slightest, and it's sputtering, and it's super butane inefficient. Finding butane is one headache I would like to deal with as little as possible, so I am bringing this for the sake of being as efficient with it as possible. Besides that, line for hanging a bear bag. It's line for hanging a bear bag. Pretty standard stuff there. In the warmer months, I might be a cold soak guy. I like the idea of it. I haven't given it a good college shot, but I can see myself liking it. But I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Besides that, my food bag with 4 days of food for training purposes. This is the Hilltop Eco Pack, large size. And I got this thing. I was using just a regular stuff sack, but when you throw everything in there, it just gets very voluminous very quickly. So I got this square-shaped one. It just slides in much nicer and plays a lot nicer with everything else in the bag. It's super easy to stuff stuff around it. That is everything outside of my liner, which I guess we'll just get to now. So for a liner, you could probably hear it already. I don't use like one of those purpose-built liners. I just find them to be very thin and frail. Even if they're not, they're frail feeling, and I don't want to worry about it. So I use a full-size compactor bag, or contractor bag, whatever they're called. Super thick, super durable, really big. I'm not worried about anything getting wet in here. I've even used the same one for a really long time. They just last forever. I bet I could make one last the entire trail, but I guess we'll see. Inside there, first thing we have is my sleep system. So for my pad, I will be bringing the Thermarest Neoair Xtherm. It's winter, right? And I have the Xtherm, so why not use the Xtherm? It is the regular width one, not the wide, which I know everybody loves right now. Everyone is jumping on the wide sleeping pads, and I would bet that a lot of you don't really need it. By that I mean, so the statistic that everybody says is, well, the average adult's shoulders are 22 or something, 22 inches apart. And if the sleeping pad is 20 inches wide, your arms will fall off the side. That is true if you're a back sleeper. If you're a side sleeper, you do not need a wide pad, because how much is that? How much is that? It's not 20 inches, I can promise you that. So that's why I don't have a wide pad. For a pillow, just the Sea Summit Aeros Ultralight Regular, not the big one. Again, my head isn't that... It's big. I have a big head, for sure. But it's not that big, and I don't think anyone's head is really so big that they need the huge pillows that I've seen. This is head-sized. That's all I need. And then, this will definitely be getting sent home. This is the Sea Summit Thermolite Reactor Extreme. It's a sleeping bag liner. It apparently adds 10 to 15 degrees of warmth to your system. I've used it a bunch. I don't know about that when it gets down to the really cold temperatures. I'm not sure that that follows. Like, I don't think this could bring your 0 degree bag down to -15. But it definitely does something. And the material it's made of is a lot more comfortable against the skin than whatever that quote material is, the nylon or whatever, which is very sticky. That's just a nice side effect of this. But it weighs almost a pound, I'm pretty sure. So this will definitely be getting sent home probably right after the Smokies. Under that, I have my puffy jacket. This is the Enlightened... Sorry, I'm taking something out of the pocket here. This is the Enlightened Equipment Torrid, not down jacket, but puffy jacket. Perfect for camp. It's super warm. It's super light. It's super, super comfortable. I have slept in this many a night, and it has kept me really warm, even when standing completely still at camp. Inside the pocket, the thing that I was taking out for the sake of keeping it warm during the cold months is my electronics bag. And this is where we will find my big luxury item. And I mean big luxury item. My luxury item is this freaking brick. This is an Anker 26,000 watt milliamp battery bank. I know it's a lot. It's more than I will probably need, but frankly, that is one thing I really I don't want to worry about at all. A big downside with a huge battery bank generally is that they take a lot longer to charge, but I don't have that because with this unit, the one that came with it, it will charge 26,000 milliamps fully in 2 hours. And I was unable to find a battery that had that much capacity that could charge that quickly that weighed less. So unfortunately, I will be taking the 16-ounce weight penalty. But again, for me, it's worth it. This is my comfort item for sure. I'm big on listening to podcasts. I'm big on watching movies. I'm big on watching TV shows at camp. And then obviously I'll be recording. So yeah, I just really don't want to worry about running out of battery. Besides that, all my cables. Cable for my watch. Very unhappy I have to bring the weird proprietary Garmin charger for my weird Garmin watch. Micro USB for my headlamp and my Zoleo, and a USB-C for charging this and charging my phone and charging my headphones. And I believe... Oh no, sorry, we got some more stuff. So next up, I have my sleeping layer, my designated dry sleeping base layer. This is actually a Carhartt fleece base layer. My brother got it for me for a present one Christmas, and it's awesome. It's light, it's super warm, way too warm to hike in for sure, which makes it perfect for sleeping in. Then last couple things. I'm super excited to try these out. Down booties. Hell yeah, right? Hell yeah. These are the Enlightened Equipment Torrid ones, and they are just super, super comfortable, and they keep your feet super, super warm. If I do get cold, my feet are the first thing to go, so not happening with these. And then, actually, the last thing... Pretty sure. Oh, no, there's something else in here. But I can't find it until we get through this. So let's just get through this. This is my quilt. that I will be starting with. This is the Enlightened Equipment Revelation 10 Degree. I have yet to try this in really properly cold weather, but I will say I'm sure it's great. I've never had a bad experience with Enlightened Equipment. It seems like most people haven't had a bad experience with Enlightened Equipment, so I am not too worried. And I will be testing it before I get on trail, obviously. Just haven't yet. Yeah, so the last thing, that's right, is my socks. But I'm going to take this opportunity to not just go through my socks, but also just like my whole foot. People love saying systems. My sleep system, my food system. Let's talk about my foot system. So I will be wearing the, oh man, Ultra Lone Peak 9s. Super unique. I know no one's wearing Ultra Lone Peaks. I'm probably going to be a trendsetter here. Obviously kidding. But guys, I have tried other brands. I've tried to move away from Ultras, and I can't. The Lone Peaks just fit my feet, and they are comfortable, and they have presented me zero issues so far, except obviously the durability issues, but that also seems to be every trail runner. I'm a Lone Peaks guy. I don't know, so I'm going to continue to be one. For my socks, the last thing at the bottom of my bag in my dry bag is I am a huge believer, I mentioned it earlier, in toe socks. I have never gotten a blister on a hike. I know. Who can say that, right? I can say that. I have never gotten a blister on a hike, and I give it all to toe socks. I am rocking a full toe sock system here. I might bring one pair of Darn Toughs to wear over them just for those really cold days. What I have to say about toe socks, everyone goes with the Injinjis. The Injinjis are my designated sleep socks. I will not hike in these anymore. Why? Their durability, it's terrible. I mean, it's really, really bad. Like, 3 uses, 3-day hikes, whole. It's not sustainable. So these are my designated sleep socks, and for hiking, I have moved on to Creepers socks. If you have not gotten on Creepers, cannot recommend it enough. Not only are they more durable, they don't have seams in the toes, which makes them a lot more comfortable. The seam is actually in the back here on the heel. They're also heavier duty, like you can feel it immediately. And being more heavy duty, they are much warmer. So I don't generally need to put a pair of Darn Toughs on over it, but again, you people have me freaked out about Georgia weather. Like, single digits going into like 70 degrees or whatever. Like, I don't know. I'll be happy with a pair of warmer socks, though. I can't be unhappy with that. So I think that's everything. I almost definitely forgot something. Forgetful, disorganized person again. But I think that's good. I might make another one of these if I make some changes, but for all intents and purposes, this is my starting kit for February. All together, it comes to 13.8 pounds, which I'm very happy about for a winter loadout. And in the warmer months, it will be down to 10.7 or something like that, which will be nice, obviously. And if you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments. I will definitely answer them. I guess that's it. Take care, guys.